Well, welcome back, friends. Here we are today. It's another beautiful day here. I hope it is where you're at too. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to be painting today. When I made this channel, I wanted to do several different things. And as you can see by the title of the channel, it says The Broke Painter and Stuff. Well, today we're going to get into the and stuff part. I like to paint paintings and sometimes even get to sell them. And it just helps for you to buy more material so you can make more paintings. Brushes, paint, canvases, whatever you got to buy. So the one thing about it I like is that I like to be able to put my paintings in a frame. A lot of people sell their paintings just like they are without a frame, and that's totally fine. But as for me, I like to put them in a nice little frame, and it just makes them look a little bit more presentable. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a frame. This is just one that I fooled around with years ago. But we're going to be making a frame for a painting that I had done, and we're going to show you how that process is done, and maybe that'll help you out. Maybe you can make your own frames and just makes them look a little bit better, in my opinion. But like I said, you don't have to use a frame, but I like to. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is you see all this wood behind me here. One thing I like to use is old pallets. You can get old pallets about anywhere. Most places you can get them for free. And you can take them apart and use the wood to make things. You've seen it all over the internet. This was made from a pallet. This was made from a pallet. And I like to use some of the wood on these. Taking the pallets apart is a lot of work. It is tedious sometimes, and there are some bad things about using pallet wood, and I'll show you some of that here in a little bit. But for the frame we're going to make today, it's going to be a black frame. We're going to paint it black. So we really don't care if we mix match wood, but we want to make sure that we get about the same thickness on all the pieces of wood we're going to use. That'll just help us for when we plane them down a little bit and get them, make sure that they're the right size. Since it's going to be painted, the grain doesn't really matter. The type of wood doesn't really matter. So let me show you what we're going to do here. So like I said, I have a lot of this wood, and what I'm going to do is we're going to pick through some of this wood, and we're going to make sure it's the same, like I said, the same thickness. So when you tear a pallet apart, you would think that a pallet would have all the same type of wood, but in my experience, they do not. They might have oak mixed in with pine or poplar or whatever. I've made some really nice oak frames out of pallet boards, but like I said, sometimes they're all mixed together. So let's pick out a few boards and see what we got. So here we have a few of these boards picked out, and if you look at them, you could tell that, well, it might be kind of hard to see on camera. These two are about the same thickness. This one's a little bit thicker here in the middle. These two on the end are about the same thickness. So we're going to take this one out of the middle, and we're going to see all four of these are close to the same thickness, and they sure do seem to be. Like I said, they're probably mixed match type of boards. So we're going to see what we can do. Now, this board here, let me show you something. Here's one bad thing about using pallets. If I get the camera to focus. Right there. See that shiny? That's a nail that didn't get out. That's a nail that didn't get out. So I'll tell you what, we're going to trash this board. I'm not even going to use it. I could take the time to take it out, the nails out, but here, look, you got a big split on this end. Got a split going right here. It'd have to be cut up to here. And the rest of the board is just not as good. So we're going to disregard that one and see if we can find another one. Well, what we've got now is we've got 5 boards that are all close to the same thickness. And we got some nails on this end, but that's no problem. We're just going to cut that off. I don't see any other nails in these. Now, when we go to plane these, sometimes when you get some of these layers off, you'll see a nail sticking up. That's when you need to take care of it. That's the worst thing for a planer, is for nail heads or nails to be hitting your knives. They will put grooves in them, and they sure will dull them. So let's move on over to the planer and get going. All right, so what we said we've got 5 good boards that we're going to plane. And you say, well, why 5? There's only 4 sides to a picture frame. Well, I always like to do one extra, just in case that one would come out and I would find there's a big split in one that I can't see, or for whatever reason. So I like to do 5. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our shop vac on. We'll set our depth and start playing. Well, as you can see, it took a while to get these planed. The first side we were doing, the one boards like these were so much more thicker than the other ones. It took us a long time on the top side to get the boards down to about the same thickness first. Then on the other side, didn't take near as long. But as you can see, we've got some oak mixed in with some other boards. Yeah, that's kind of pretty with the gray in it. But we're going, like I said, we're going to paint this black, so it doesn't really matter if these are any type of wood. But the next step is to cut them on the table saw. So let's get to doing that. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to take these boards down a little bit on each side. And the main thing that we're doing right now is we want to get rid of these rough edges. Now you can leave these rough edges on there. You don't even have to plane these, if I didn't mention that before. You don't even have to plane these boards if you don't want to. If you want to make a rough looking frame, all you got to do is just cut it to size on the ends, angle it, and we'll get to that part here in a minute. And you could just make it like this. I like to plane them, especially if I'm going to paint them. I like for them to be smooth. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut the worst edge off first to figure out the thickness, the width of our boards. So obviously we're going to cut this knot out. So we're going to try to cut it somewhere in here. Whatever's going to be the width is going to be the smallest. You want all of your other boards to match. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the saw up to cut that knot out. And then we're going to just use that as the smallest edge. And then all the other boards will be the same. So what we want to do is you can measure, you can eyeball, it doesn't make a difference. Folks, I'm not a professional woodworker. This is just my hobby. So right there's 2 inches. So 2 1/2, 2 3/4. I think we're going to start with that. Just big enough to cut this out. But I want to save as much as I can because we have to cut the other side too. So we're going to go 2 3/4 inches. Just about, I like that. Now that we have our one side cut, our first side, now we want to cut this side, and we just barely want to take this rough edge off. We want to leave the frame about this width. So we don't want to take off too much, just enough to cut this edge off. Now we've got 5 pieces of board that are the same thickness, the same width. Now what the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a rabbet on the back side. This is what enables the frames to sit down in there a little bit, kind of hold the canvas in a little bit. So we're going to make a rabbet using our router next.